Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at social intelligence
Okay.
with excerpts from Daniel Goleman's Social Intelligence,
hmm
and we're going to be kind of weaving in some of the things that you sent us.
Awesome.
So if you're listening and you want to, be better at navigating the social world, understanding people better, having more fulfilling relationships, and even boosting your well-being,
Right.
this is the deep dive for you.
Yeah, it's really amazing how much of our lives is affected by social intelligence. And we often think of it as, just being likable or charismatic. But
Yeah.
there's so much more to it than that. It
Yeah.
really affects, everything from our relationships to our success in life.
Yeah. So where do we even begin with this? Like, if
Oh,
somebody wants to improve their social intelligence,
right.
what's step one?
Well, empathy is crucial, I think. Goleman really emphasizes the power of empathy in forming those strong connections. And it's not just about seeing someone's point of view, what we call cognitive empathy. It's also about tapping into their emotions,
Okay.
which is emotional empathy.
Oh, so it's not just a head thing, it's a heart thing too.
Exactly. And there's a fascinating biological basis for this. You know those mirror neurons that Goleman talks about?
Oh, yeah.
They actually fire both when we do something and when we see someone else doing the same thing.
Wow.
So they're like a biological basis for empathy, allowing us to kind of uh, literally feel what others are feeling.
That's amazing. So like those mirror neurons help us experience other people's emotions on a physical level.
Yeah.
Does that mean we can actually train our brains to be more empathetic then?
That's one of the most exciting things about neuroscience today. We're learning more and more about how experience shapes the brain.
Yeah.
So think about the story that Goleman shared about Mary Duffy and
Yeah.
her experience in the hospital. It
Mhm.
just shows, how essential empathy is, not just in personal relationships, but in professional settings as well.
Yeah.
The lack of empathy she encountered really had a negative impact on her.
It makes you think about how many times we might be missing those opportunities for empathy in our own lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize how powerful those even small acts of empathy can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
A kind word, a listening ear, these things can make a real difference in someone's day.
Now, on the flip side of that, Goleman also explores this dark triad of personality traits:
Yeah.
narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy.
Right.
What's the impact of these traits on social interactions?
Well, these traits really represent a less beneficial use of social intelligence.
Good.
So individuals with these traits might be very socially skilled in some ways, but they often use this intelligence for manipulation or exploitation.
Right.
It's like having a powerful tool that you can use
Right.
for good or for evil.
Yeah. So break down these traits for me. What makes them so dark?
Well, narcissists, crave admiration, and they have a very inflated sense of self-importance.
Okay.
And they can often be very aggressive when their ego is threatened, often because they lack empathy. Machiavellians are masters of manipulation.
Oh, wow.
They use their social intelligence to gain personal gain and power over others. And then we have the psychopaths, who can be very charming,
Right.
but they often lack genuine emotional connection
Right.
and remorse.
It's a little unsettling to think about.
Yeah.
But for our listeners, it's more about recognizing those traits in others.
Absolutely.
Right. Like, have you ever felt like manipulated or taken advantage of in a social situation?
I think, most of us have at some point. And it's not always easy to spot these traits, especially since these individuals can be very good at hiding their true intentions.
Yeah.
But just being aware of the dark triad can help you protect yourself and make more informed choices about the people that you allow into your life.
So this social intelligence thing is kind of a double-edged sword.
It can be, yeah.
It can be used for good or for evil.
Right.
But where does it come from? Like, are we born with it? Or is it something we learn?
That's the classic nature versus nurture debate. And I think when it comes to social intelligence, it's a fascinating blend of both.
Okay.
Our genes definitely play a role,
Okay.
but our experiences, especially early in life, have a huge impact on how our social brains develop.
So we're not necessarily stuck with the social skills we were born with.
No,
There's room for growth and development.
absolutely.
Okay.
There's this incredible field of research called epigenetics,
Mm-hmm.
which shows how our experiences can actually change the way our genes express themselves.
Wow.
So even if you didn't have the ideal childhood,
Okay.
your your social brain can still change and adapt throughout life.
That's reassuring to hear, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So even those of us who may have, stumbled a bit in our social development
Right.
can still improve.
Exactly. The brain has this remarkable ability to rewire itself
Yeah.
called neuroplasticity. And Goleman uses this poignant example of the Romanian orphans.
Mm-hmm.
They faced severe social deprivation, but when they were adopted into loving families, many of them showed remarkable improvements in their social and emotional abilities.
That is a powerful example of how positive experiences can reshape our brains for social connection.
Yeah,
So we can actually rewire our brains for better social skills.
you got it.
Okay.
The brain is constantly adapting based on our experiences. And that brings us to another important aspect of social intelligence.
Okay.
Stress.
Okay.
It's not just deadlines and traffic jams, right?
That's something that really stood out to me in the book.
Yeah.
That our social interactions and relationships can be
Yeah.
a major source of stress.
Right.
I remember reading about the HPA axis, our body's stress response system.
Mm.
Chronic social stress can keep it in overdrive, leading to all sorts of health problems.
That's right. And it's not just negative interactions that matter.
Right.
The quality of our relationships has a profound impact on our stress levels. Positive relationships actually act like a buffer.
Okay.
They lower our cortisol levels and promote well-being. So it's like having a built-in stress management system.
This actually reminds me of the story of Alyssa Yanovitz, who sued her employer, claiming that her work environment was so stressful
Right.
that it gave her hypertension.
Yeah. Her story highlights how impactful that chronic social stress can be on our physical health. Now, while it's difficult to pinpoint, one specific cause for a complex health condition like hypertension,
Right.
her case certainly raises some important questions about workplace culture and the responsibility employers have for their employees' well-being.
So it's not just about avoiding toxic people. It's also about building those supportive relationships
Yeah, exactly.
that help us handle stress.
The quality of our social connections is just as important as the quantity. So surrounding ourselves with people who support us and make us feel good
Right.
and help us navigate the inevitable stresses of life, that's where the real resilience comes from.
Okay, this is all starting to make a lot of sense. It's not just about being charming or
Yeah.
popular.
No.
Social intelligence is about understanding these deeper mechanics
Right.
at play in our brains and our bodies.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how it impacts everything from our relationships
Yeah.
to our careers,
Absolutely.
even our health.
It does.
Yeah.
That's what makes this topic so fascinating to explore. It's like, peeking behind the curtain and understanding the forces that shape our social world.
Mm-hmm.
And what's even more exciting is we can learn to manage those forces and create a more positive and fulfilling experience
Right.
for ourselves and the people around us.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This deep dive is really making me rethink how I approach social situations.
Yeah.
Social intelligence is this hidden superpower that we all have.
Right.
But we don't always know how to use it effectively.
Right.
You were saying before that it's not just about stress management.
Yeah.
Strong social intelligence can actually help us thrive in different areas of life.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy to get caught up in thinking about the downsides.
Right.
But social intelligence has so many benefits.
Okay.
There's actually research that shows that people with strong social intelligence tend to have better relationships,
Okay.
more success in their careers, and even improve physical health.
I'm intrigued. How does that play out in real life?
Right.
How does being socially intelligent translate into those positive outcomes?
Well, think about it this way. If you're good at understanding and responding to other people's emotions and needs,
Right.
you're going to be a more effective communicator, collaborator, and leader.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you can really get where someone is coming from,
Right.
you're more likely to connect with them, build trust, and work together effectively.
Exactly. And don't forget about the power of positive emotions.
Aye.
Goleman cites, a lot of research showing how positive emotions can make us more creative, more resilient, and broaden our thinking.
So it's not just about being happy all the time.
Right.
It's more about kind of having the social and emotional skills to navigate those ups and downs of life
Exactly.
in a way that promotes well-being.
You hit the nail on the head. And what's even more fascinating is that those positive emotions aren't just good for us. They can actually be contagious.
Okay.
So it creates a ripple effect spreading to those around us.
So like little acts of kindness or positivity
Yeah.
can have a much bigger impact than we realize.
Absolutely. Think about it. When you're feeling happy and optimistic, you're more likely to be kind and helpful to others,
Right.
which can brighten their day and then inspire them to do the same for someone else.
Right.
It's like a chain reaction of positivity.
That's such a powerful reminder. So cultivating our own social intelligence is not just about personal gain.
Right.
It's about creating a more positive social environment for everyone.
Precisely. And that brings us to the question of how social intelligence translates into tangible benefits in different areas of life.
Yeah.
Are there any specific examples that come to mind from Goleman's book?
You know, I'm really curious about the link between social intelligence and career success.
Okay.
Is there really a connection there?
Oh, absolutely. Goleman highlights this fascinating study
Okay.
about radiologists.
Mm-hmm.
They found that when radiologists were given a small gift,
Okay.
just a bag of candy,
Okay.
before reviewing scans, they were actually more likely to make accurate diagnoses compared to those who didn't receive a gift.
So a happier doctor is a better doctor.
It seems that way, right?
Right.
It just shows how social and emotional factors can impact performance, even in professions that we might consider, purely cognitive.
That's fascinating. So even in fields like medicine,
Right.
where, technical expertise is so important,
Yeah,
social intelligence still plays a role.
it does.
It's like the human element can't be ignored.
It's about recognizing that we're not just brains on legs, right? We're complex social beings. And our emotions, our
Right.
relationships, they all influence how we think,
Yeah.
how we work,
Yeah.
how we interact with the world.
This has been so eye-opening. We've covered so much.
Yeah.
Empathy, the dark triad,
Right.
the nature and nurture of social intelligence,
Mhm.
the impact of stress.
Yeah.
Now, this link between social intelligence and success and well-being,
Right.
it's a lot to take in.
It is.
But I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
It's quite a tapestry, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're only just beginning to unravel all the intricate ways that social intelligence shapes our lives.
Yeah, it makes me want to keep exploring this topic even further. But
Yeah.
before we move on,
Okay.
there's a question that's been bugging me. We've talked about how our social interactions has such a powerful impact
Yeah.
on our brains and our bodies.
Right.
So knowing that,
Yeah.
what are some small changes we can make
Right.
to create a more positive and supportive social environment, both for ourselves
Yes.
and the people around us? I mean, it feels like we're constantly bombarded with negativity, especially online.
Right.
Is it even possible to create a more positive social environment?
Yeah.
Like, where do we even begin?
That's a really important question. And you're right. It can feel overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But I actually think it starts with something really simple. Awareness.
Okay.
Just paying attention to how we interact with others
Okay.
and how our words and actions affect them.
So being more mindful of our interactions.
Exactly. Are we truly present when we're talking to someone?
Right.
Are we listening to understand, or are we just waiting for our turn to speak?
Yeah.
Are we offering support or just judgment? Those little shifts in our awareness can make a big difference.
It's like taking a step back and thinking, how would I feel if someone said this to me?
Right. And then there's the power of small gestures.
Okay.
A smile, a genuine compliment, a simple thank you.
Yeah.
These things might seem insignificant,
Yeah.
but they can really brighten someone's day
Mm.
and strengthen those social bonds.
There's that quote, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
Yeah.
We never know what someone else is going through.
Right.
So even a small act of kindness can make a huge difference.
I love that quote. And it's not just about being kind to others.
Okay.
It's also about being kind to ourselves.
Right.
Practicing self-compassion.
Yeah.
Forgiving ourselves for our mistakes.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we're all works in progress.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in self-criticism
Right.
and forget that we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
We need to be gentle with ourselves
We do.
and allow ourselves to learn and grow.
And I think it's also crucial to remember that building a more positive social world isn't a solo mission, It's something we do together,
Yeah.
like supporting each other,
Yeah.
celebrating each other's successes, and offering a helping hand when needed.
It's like we're all threads in this giant tapestry of human connection.
Yeah.
And each interaction is a chance to weave something beautiful and meaningful.
I love that analogy. And by cultivating our social intelligence, we can become more skilled weavers, creating a richer, more vibrant, and more fulfilling tapestry
Right.
for ourselves and for generations to come.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
Yes.
We've explored the complexities of social intelligence, from empathy to the dark triad, from nature and nurture to the impact of stress.
Yeah.
We even touched on the power of small gestures
Right.
in creating more positive social world.
Yeah.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway for our listener?
For me, it's the reminder that social intelligence is not a fixed trait. It's something that we can develop and cultivate throughout our lives.
Yeah,
We have the power to strengthen our social brains
right.
and create more fulfilling connections.
That's a really empowering message.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect, it's about being aware,
Right.
being intentional, and being open to growth.
I agree.
So for you listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked some new insights and inspired you to explore your own social intelligence.
Right.
Maybe you'll try practicing empathy a little more intentionally, or offer a genuine compliment to someone who needs it. Every small step contributes to a more positive and connected world.
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, figuring it out as we go.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into social intelligence. We encourage you to continue exploring this topic, reading more of Goleman's work,
Yeah.
and most importantly, putting these insights into action in your own life.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep diving deep
Yes.
and keep connecting.